Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Ooh.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your favorite podcast. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You got a riff.
Riffin with Griffin. All right, Ron, this is the singing mic, but I won't even give you the singing mic. I'll just put the effects on it on that.
Okay, I'll just sing.
So whatever you got for me, just get it, Ron Funches.
We Riffin with Griffin.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
We don't know what we're doing, but we're gonna have fun. We're Riffin with Griffin Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll make a day up to week for Riffin.
Yeah, all right.
I'm riffing with you, you riffing with me, we riffing with we, oh we riffing with Griffin.
Ladies and gentlemen, Riffin with Griffin. All right, well, that's how I do it. I usually hand the singing mic over, but in these days of like,
Yeah, I get it.
these days of COVID. You know what's funny is like I don't know how you deal with it, but like sometimes it's like different people deal with it in different ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so you don't even know who you might be with somebody who's just like straight up like, yo, stay away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people are kind of like, I'm cool.
Yeah.
So it's just determining who it is. Have you dealt with anything where you're like, okay, this is one of those?
Yeah, of course. I deal with people who come straight up, try to give you handshakes and hugs in the middle of the pandemic before
Right.
vaccinations. And it's that's the first time. I love a hug.
Yeah,
I'm
you're a
pro-hug
hugger.
person.
Yeah,
I
you sure are.
love
Yeah,
a
yeah,
hug.
yeah.
Yes, it's a great way to feel everything.
Yeah.
But then I'd be like, no, you know what's going on right now.
So you've had a healthy fear of the virus from the beginning?
I'd say not from the beginning. In the very beginning, I was like, what's going on with this? This ain't even gonna get over here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep doing shows and keep
I know we were in the Comedy Store hallway, like it ain't gonna come here. Like comedy can never stop. Cut to a year later, we like, oh shit, I'm doing shows in a drive-through.
Yeah, doing shows at the parking lot of the Magic Castle.
Yeah.
At the foot of magicians.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
So then at what point did you go, oh, I better start? Like this is like where you took it like, hey, don't come near me, or like what level were you? Were you at like 10 of like you were hypochondriac, or like 0? Like where were you in there?
I was a solid 6, 7, I'd say, where I was
hear you.
like, I'm not going out. I'm staying home as long as I can afford to stay home. If I had to go out, I would. But I was like, as long as I can stay home, I can. I didn't see anybody. Just me and my wife and my son. We just staying home. And that's it. We didn't see my mom. Didn't see anybody. We just kept it low key. Didn't go do anything. Just kept doing voiceovers. That was it.
Yeah, good for you, man. By the way, I really enjoyed Harley Quinn. Ron was the shark. What's the character? Killer Shark, or what was it?
He's a king. He's a king.
Oh, the King Shark.
Yeah, he's the king of the sharks.
Wait, don't get an attitude like you was the shark. Okay, like this. It's not like there was like 10 sharks in there, and you like you need me to distinguish between the sharks. Like yeah.
I'm no common shark.
You was the only motherfucking shark in the thing. How dare you get insulted? Unbelievable. Excuse me. You know what this is like? This is like when you hosting a show and somebody give you their credits. They give you can you say like these 17 things when you bring me up?
That's the word.
Yeah, that's what you just did to me. But yeah,
okay. Well, I don't feel it's the same.
I know. I'm exaggerating for the podcast. So yes, you did voiceovers. I mean, I know what you're saying. Like for me, you know what I did? I started gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Erik Griffin Gaming. Check me out. I have a couple videos up on my YouTube with Ron and I playing. Yeah, so I started doing that, and I just started like reinventing myself, I guess, finding ways to how we can monetize our personality. Because I don't know about you, but I was super depressed at first because it was just like we were performing. I don't know how often you performed, but we're performing like 2, 3, 4 times a week in LA. But then we go out of town or whatever we were doing, or we're working on a set or whatever it is. And that's consistent. It's part of our life. It's who we are. Or we thought that's who we were. Then this thing hit and it got all taken away.
Mhm.
So you sitting there like, all right, how do I express these emotions? How do I get out this energy that I have all the time? And it was tough at first. How was it for you?
Yeah, it's depressing. That was the thing I tell my wife. We get into discussions about it. It was hard for her to even understand at first, but then she started to get it. Was just that because we were worried financially for a couple months, but things started to handle out. And once I was still like, okay, I'm acting, I'm doing the voice acting, but I just can't do stand up. But that's how I've defined myself.
Yes.
As a stand up, this is the thing that I've used to say if I've had a good day or bad day is then based off of my sets.
Yeah.
And when that was gone, I was like, oh, I've kind of just lost what I feel like, and I love being a dad. I love all these things. But, selfishly, I'm like, this is my purpose to be on stage selling these jokes. And I'm thinking in a way, like, it was the best lesson I ever learned to be like, oh, that's so limiting. To be like, oh, this is what I am. This is all I am. It's like, no, you're so many other things you can.
And you could be so many other things too. It's not even just like you are other things. What you realize is you can become many things. Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you're saying. I had this kind of epiphany myself going through the process with just being like super depressed. Also worried about finances too. I mean, when you're not one of the top 5% comics who like, they already got millions of dollars in the bank and whatever the thing is, and they're just doing stand up for fun and to like get their legacy. Mm-hmm. It's different for like a person like myself, where like whatever money I'm making on a weekend, even if it's a nice chunk of money, we still live in paycheck to paycheck. Mm-hmm. Even though it's a nice paycheck, then you like change your lifestyle.
Like the Outcast song, go, if you don't move your feet, then I don't eat, and we like neck to neck. You got to say you living from that song to song from. I mean, even. Whether people see you on shows and stuff and they see that, but it's like, no, I'm going. I even that's been one of my biggest lessons is being open to my wife about stuff like that. And being like money and be like oh no, I'll tell you, like, this is exactly how much this deal is, and then now let me break down the 10% here, the 10% here, the 5% here.
Yeah, the taxes. Look at fucking kindred spirits right here, boy. And not even just that is what you're thinking is this is also the retirement plan. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, wait, what happened here?
Just lost earbuds.
Wait. What's up, guys? Hope you're enjoying the episode so far. So right now, I just want to take some time to tell you about our great sponsor of the show, BetterHelp. You got to go to BetterHelp, HELP.com/Griffin to get a discount on their service. BetterHelp, it's about therapy, online therapy. There's so many things in our life that interfere with our happiness. We've been dealing with this pandemic for a year. Now we're trying to get our lives back to normal, and that can be stressful. We've dealt with a lot of things this year, and BetterHelp is the online therapy that you need. I personally recommend therapy. It helps you organize your thoughts and figure out like the origins of some of the feelings that you might have. You connect in a safe and private online environment. It's so convenient. I highly recommend it. You can start communicating in under 48 hours, and it's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is also available. That's a new thing I'm hearing about right now. So the service is available for clients worldwide. Find the particular expertise that you need. I mean, we're dealing with depression, stress, anxiety, relationships. If you're having trouble sleeping, if you're dealing with some trauma in your life, you're dealing with anger, you have LGBT issues, you have anything that you think you want to be able to deal with, and you need to talk to a certified professional counselor, BetterHelp is the thing for you. All right. So many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. Listen, I want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/Griffin. That's HELP.com/Griffin. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Griffin for 10% off your first month. Totally worth it. Totally love BetterHealth. Let's get back to the show. Yeah, so like what I'm saying is like we this is like so whatever the money is you get from a show, whatever it is like that, a portion of this we have to think about, I got to put this away because that's the retirement plan. The retirement plan for entertainers is whatever money you make now has to last you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, my girl's kind of a princess. She just, she don't necessarily understand that part. I think a lot of people in regular society don't understand. Like, it's not easy for us to buy a house, even though they think it is. It's not easy for, because you have to prove your income. You have to,
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, when I bought my house, it was the worst thing. Basically, my money history was like, okay, 2 years ago, I had negative money.
Yeah.
And now I got enough to get this house today.
Yeah.
Can we make this deal today?
Yeah, because in 2 years, it might be, it's like, it's funny that like when you're going to buy a house, you actually want to have a partner in your life that has a steady regular job, because it's going to actually be on them, which is a funny part about it. It's like, but anyways, that's what so we're going through this whole process, which, we're defining ourselves as this and that. And then, when you got somebody in your life, you got to kind of go, okay, hey, listen, let me explain to you how all this works. And it was like a whole big thing about what's important and what's not important. And I'm at a whole different place right now, engaged now, and just trying to reprioritize like who I am and what I do. And then, I'm still doing the podcast and still doing, I started the gaming. So that's became a job that I got to continue to do. And, but it's just like all these different ways to do stuff. Like we did that show together on the Amazon, that Twitch show that paid us, like, I don't know why they paid us that much money. I think they're looking back on it like, why did we pay those people that much money?
Let's not do that again.
Yeah, For real, dude. It was like, why are we doing this? And so it's like we found all these different ways to do it. And so now as the world is coming back, I think we're starting to look around and be like, no, I don't necessarily have to do it the way I did it before.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I mean, speaking of, I had a thing recently where I was getting ready to go back on the road, but then I had a online gaming related thing come up, and they needed me that day, and it was the first time where I was like, oh, I have to cancel this stand-up gig because I have a gaming gig that's more lucrative.
Yeah, straight up. Like I think about, I made more money doing gaming related things in the pandemic than I did in stand-up the year before. So that made me feel like, okay, I'm not going to go to such and such city now for a certain amount, unless it's not even just about the compensation, but is this worth it?
Yeah, is it worth it? Is it fun?
Is it fun? Is it worth it? Is it like, I mean, it's just everybody out there, no matter what your job is. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there with like, they're now working from home, and they might think to themselves, well, why are we going back to the office? Mm-hmm. Like, do I have to go to the office 5 days a week?
I was just thinking about that. That mentioned it on the affirmations of my podcast, Getting Better with Ron Funches. I'll throw plugs in the middle of things.
Please do.
Professional. I was just talking about the very idea of the 15-minute break is so fucking insulting.
Really? How so?
Because what the fuck am I gonna do in 15 minutes?
Yeah.
What am I supposed? What amount of relaxation am I supposed to get done in 15 minutes?
It'd probably take you 17 minutes just to wind your brain down and get away from all the nonsense that you were just dealing with all day.
I know exactly how it went when I had a job. I remember working at the grocery store. It's been the first 5 minutes talking shit about whatever customer that pissed me off before.
Yeah.
I spend that next 5 picking out lunch for later, or trying to text someone at home, making sure the home life was okay. And then you spend that last 5 looking at that clock, wishing you had that other minutes back.
Yeah.
It's not relaxing at all. And just I think a lot of people I've been talking to on Twitch, people who have been working from home, who are now going back to work, is this that they're having a hard time now. I think like it's this kind of thing like you remove the veil for a while and now you're trying to put it back on.
Yeah.
And people are like, no, I can get the same amount of work done in 3 hours as I used to do coming here for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, and I don't have to deal with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That middle management piece of shit, that person who thinks
gumming up the works.
Yeah. They have to be like, they make themselves feel important, so they got to be all on you. It's like, nah, I don't got to get dressed, so I could do this from home in a robe.
Oh, you don't know how much I was cursing you driving over here.
Yeah, I know. It's just, pocket.
It is a better atmosphere and energy once I got here for sure, bro.
I made you a matcha.
Yes, that's true. It is delicious and buttery and flavorful, but not overly sweet. It's a perfect matcha.
Yes, honey with oat milk. So it's healthier too.
I love it. It is good. So I'm glad I can.
And I know what you're saying, man, about just everything that we do. Like, I don't know, you've worked on a set in the past year, right? And during the thing, yeah, I just got finished doing 2 things, and man, I'm telling you, these COVID, restrictions are just sometimes I don't get it sometimes.
Yeah, it's so funny though because you could tell the safety ones are like, okay, I get safety, it's fun, but then now it's also the ones where you really like, man, you guys are just really reinforcing this call sheet and this guest star thing where you're like, where they're just like, oh, okay, because I'm doing the guest role, I need 4 masks on and don't touch the regular actors.
Dude,
it's so weird.
No, my thing about it is like, to me, it's just a dog and pony show. Okay.
Well, it's like, let's not get sued. It's a show up to the
It's for optics.
Yeah.
To me, what they should do is offer a waiver. They should say like, because I don't know about you, but if I'm saying yes to an acting job, I'm saying I'm totally fine with getting COVID or not getting COVID. Right? I mean,
I think I diverge from you there.
But how though? Like, it's like if you're saying I'm going to go work on a set where we got to be around a bunch of people, I think you're making that agreement where you're saying like, okay, you have the chance because we're not being socially distant. We're pretending like COVID doesn't exist in this universe of this movie or TV show. So we're saying that, hey, I'm okay. I agree. I'm okay with the risk. I think the risk is worth the reward.
Yeah. Well, I think you're saying, I mean, I guess if you put it that way, that you're saying like I'm aware of the risk I'm taking.
Yes, I'm aware of the risk I'm taking, and I'm okay with it. I mean, because they're so worried, because it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, they have all these things, red zone or yellow zone, all this shit.
What group are you in?
What group are you in? You have your mask on, mask, and then everybody's the other people got to shield them. And then when they say action, this comes off. So you think COVID is just like, oh, they filming. So let me just... Let me just wait over here.
Said no, when the red light's on.
Right. You act like COVID is going like this. Oh, this is such a good scene. Let me wait for them to put their masks on. So to me, I go, at that moment, you don't care about health and safety, Hollywood. Like, don't tell me that, like, so the times we have our masks on, oh, safety, but we got to get this shot. So what I'm saying is, like, we have to get tested 2 times every 2 days. Most people are now, when I say most people, I'm talking about the country. I'm talking about most people that are working in the entertainment business that I know have gone out of their way to get vaccinated. You know what I mean? Because of this exact thing.
Get back to work.
They want to get back to work.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I'm ready to go. Because it's uncomfortable. Like, when you have the mask on, you feel it's a weird thing.
Yeah,
it's
hard to act with the mask on. Rehearse with the
you're
mask
rehearsing.
on.
There's something. Then you have the makeup on and all this kind of shit. I know it's first world problems. Okay, I know there's people out there.
I'm usually just cracking. It's not like I'm doing drama.
Yeah. But even still, though, there's something about being in a good mood. So when if I'm supposed to be the comic relief in this thing, well, how can I do this, man? I just did this Ray Romano movie. It's really great. He's this Italian family. Yeah, that's the.
You got scenes with Ray?
Yeah. Do I? Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm like the comic relief in a dramedy. You know what I mean? But like the guy, the COVID Gestapo, I call him. They're just on set. You know what I mean? You can't even breathe without them tapping in your. Hey, I need you to put your mask on. And so the guy, like, this guy would show up out of nowhere. We were starting to get contentious,
Yeah. Well, I think that's bigger than the guy, right? To you, that just takes you probably back to school, and that's the nerd who was like, "Teacher, you forgot to give us homework."
Yeah.
And then, oh no, Erik didn't do this, and you're just like, "Fucking nerd."
Yeah, I know, you piece of shit. But at the end of when I rapped, though, I went up to him and I was like, "Yo, man, I know you're just doing your job. Thank you." And you know what I mean? It's tough, And then he was like,
"I got beef with the script supervisor."
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started. Have you been on? Sometimes you have a script supervisor that's a complete Nazi, and sometimes you have one that are just more lax. But I've had both, and I just can't stand a person that comes over. Hi, Ron. It's not really for me. The producers, they were looking at the replay, and we need you to say the
tomato. You
Yeah.
said a tomato.
and you just go, okay. You know, it's hard as a comic though, as like when you get like a script, especially if it's a comedy script, it's hard to not put your stank on it right away.
That's why you hire me.
But at the same time though, I also do recognize that whoever wrote this has been working on this for like 6 months to maybe even longer, and they have it ready to go to the point where they're shooting, and then here we come in and talking about,
that's giving
you know what, this would be funnier.
That's giving people a lot of you're really being like, oh, they've been meticulously working on it.
Well, I mean,
we've seen these scripts. We go out for the same roles. Half the time, you're like, did you finish the spell check on this?
Okay, I'm with you on that. All I'm saying though is, I now know sometimes it's okay to like give them the first read.
Yes.
How they put it on paper.
Yes.
Just to be like, oh, I said it that way, and then you just go, you know, I got an idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just don't shit all over them. I think that's the thing I learned early as a comedian, because I used to do that. I used to just couldn't hide it because it's competitive. With us, right? You know, so I'd read a line and I go, and then I
do you want to say it like this? You know,
yeah. I see a writer go, you know, his head just droop, and I just be like, oh wait, this is important to them, you know. But yeah, nothing. I mean, I did this couple scenes in the movie myself recently, and that was my gives me these highs like when I first started stand up, of when like I do take a chance and I don't tell, because I feel like if you tell them, when you ask, you know, nothing's worth. You were better to ask forgiveness than permission. You're like, oh, can I do this joke? Yeah. And then they're like running it by 4 or 5 people before you get to it. So then I'm always just like, okay, one scene, and the next one I'll just do something completely different. And then I did this one, and then I heard the script supervisor, who was a great lady. I've worked with her before from Blackish a bunch of times, so she, you know, respects me and knew I would do it anyway. But to go offline and then to hear her laugh, like, that's when I'm like, this is the freaking best, because you're supposed to tell me I messed up. Yeah. But you're like, no, that's funnier. That's good. Which is the whole job to me anyway. I don't like it when people get so. My favorite type of people I work with are just collaborators, problem solvers, not these people who are like, I have a vision. You know, even when I write my own stuff, I think maybe because I come from that background, I'd be like, look, like, I have an idea, but I want you because I believe you can add to it, you know? Like, if I was to get you, I want you,
unless it's something like, and I also understand if, like, there's some words that you have to say in this moment. You could change it. How I have mine, so you can, like, have more space.
Yeah, I keep knocking it. Go like this. Oh, that's better. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's lots of angles.
Yeah. I got to get them better. But if there's, like, some word that this person's going to respond to, then you go, okay, I get this. But I know what you're saying. Sometimes you just want to go off the, you know, you just our comedic style. I mean, sometimes you just know what the joke is. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I know what this joke is, and there are many words to say this joke. Yeah. And so that's really what we're finding. My character would say it this way.
Yeah, I know your destination, and you chose the left and the right, but what if I just went this way?
Yeah. But I also like when a writer or like the executive producer comes to you immediately, is like, you know, we're not married to these words. We like, you know, then you just kind of, you know, that's when it's great. But sometimes you have these people that are like, oh, we really, you know, we want to get it. Like, let's get on book the script, you know. And so, you know, it is what it is. Now, speaking of doing movies and stuff like that, let's even get to like, while you're here. Nice. Professional. So
we've been trying to be on your podcast for like this last year, and it took
I know, well, because of the thing,
promoters to make it.
No, you would have been on before. It's just the pandemic. You don't know what people's comfortability is, and you know what I mean. And by the way, you understand. I hate asking people to be on the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
When it's like, you know, it's just, that's why I've been doing so many solos now. Just because I feel like it's just me, I can just do it. I bring Rachel on and we talk stuff. You know, I go, oh, let me just make it about me. You know, because then it depends on who the guest is. Then the people are like, oh,
yeah, you try and promote yourself anyway.
Yeah. So, but you're in a new movie. It's called Golden Army or Arm.
Nice. They're gonna hate you.
Should we do it? Should I edit it?
No, I really want you to keep this.
It's the silver leg. Is that what?
Silver leg? I believe you play Prince Shark.
See how you downgraded it?
The Porpoise Prince.
Yeah. How about you tell me about the movie?
It's called Golden Arm.
Golden. I got it right. Golden Arm.
Yeah, it's out right now. It is a female arm wrestling comedy, an over-the-top style comedy. If you remember that arm wrestling movie.
Oh, yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
But it stars Mary Holland, Betsy Sodero, Eugene Cordero, myself, Aparna Nancharla, a lot of wonderful people. And it's just a great comedy. I play Carl, who owns and operates the arm wrestling tournament and is a lover and purveyor and pusher of strong, beautiful women.
All right. That sounds like how a pimp would say it, but
A little bit. I'm making some on the back end.
you dressed that up nice, but all right. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Is it in theaters or it's online?
It's both in theaters and on demand. So if you're comfortable with going out, go out there.
Go
and
out.
watch it.
I do encourage that.
It's a great experience. I went back to the theaters for the first time recently and saw Mortal Kombat with my son.
Great. So you were thoroughly disappointed with that, huh?
No, I knew. But that's who you are. That's who you are. What did you want?
Mean that's who I
You
am?
want Shakespeare? What did you want?
No. I'm not. No. See, how come it got to be that extreme? I don't necessarily want Shakespeare, but I want something that's like better than that. You know what I mean?
I thought it was great. I liked it. Let's go blow for blow on it. What you didn't like, I'll tell you what I liked.
I like the first 15 minutes of the movie.
First 15 minutes.
Because I love that sort of Asian kung fu stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like anytime it's like, it's the stoic dad who is like this like warrior who is semi-retired type of
you
thing.
You see the new Black Samurai anime on Netflix?
No, I haven't seen that
I
yet.
just watched the first 2 episodes. I was getting my nails done today.
I'm about to check that out. I like to do that too. Good for you.
Yeah. You got a person?
I go to this, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got somebody.
Natasha, she's great. Her name's Natasha at Noir Nails. Everybody go see it. So Shannon Sharp, Jaleel White, me.
Oh, it's like
it
that.
Makes me feel, so it made me feel good.
You got to be one of those people like if there's like something on something on the Bravo channel where they go like, oh, hair and nails are the stars, and you like that this person will be on there. Is that kind of thing?
Yeah, she's
okay.
Great.
All right. Well, let me get the hookup. Yeah, so that's what I liked about at the beginning of the movie. But then it just got ridiculous when it went into modern times, and this guy who like I just don't get.
Yeah, okay, we can agree there. I don't know who this guy is. Why he wearing a wicker basket?
Yeah, what's happening?
He got no powers. He didn't look like a good fighter at all.
Yeah.
He got his ass beat by regular people.
Yeah, so how is he all of a sudden a Mortal Kombat person?
Didn't seem like it was gonna happen to me.
I talked about this on Bobby's podcast. I went into did Bad Friends, like a guest hosted, and I was saying about this dragon tattoo. If you just have a random dragon tattoo on you, you're not gonna just like. Oh, well.
But that's the world. The Mortal Kombat world. You do play Mortal Kombat 11?
Yeah. I don't like it.
You don't like Mortal Kombat 11?
No, dude, because when you play online, those 8-year-olds on there with their little fingers, it's not fun.
They're really good.
I can't have any fun because I'm not playing. Rachel's not playing Mortal Kombat with me.
I'll play with you.
Yeah, well, but it's just I wish I can get my money back. That was a waste of $99.
It's a great game. You're completely wrong. But you got to think that, okay, if you look at the movie as it's like Cole's movie, it's a bad movie. But that's like looking at Community through Joel McHale's lens when it's not. It's through Abed. The movie is the battle between Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
Listen, I'm with you. All of that. Listen, I enjoyed Godzilla.
It's a great movie.
I enjoyed that movie because it's just like
No, this is Mortal Kombat. It's no Godzilla versus Kong.
Okay, but it's in the same genre of like we're not looking for Shakespeare. I just want to have a good entertaining time and see some fighting. You like I say, kung fu fixes a lot of shit.
Let's not lie. We both probably love Godzilla versus Kong because it's got a chubby black male lead. And when I see a funny chubby black male lead in a movie,
my first thought is, how come I didn't go out for this? That's always my first thought. And then the second thought is like, well, good.
Yes.
Because that means
they reaching for it. They
reaching.
going. That means a few years from now, when he's too busy.
Listen, I'm always okay with like if I'm like, you can understand this language. Where you are on the call sheet, okay? I'm always gonna be between like 4 and 9. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Depending on how many cast members there are. Mm-hmm. And occasionally we might get lucky where we're getting like that sitcom where we're the fat dude and then the skinny wife. Mm-hmm. And it's like that's our whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. And or we get lucky and get a Deuce Bigelow type of thing, Ace Ventura, or whatever and even not even that because he was so, But I'm just saying like, so I know how it is to be right in the pocket there, and I'm gonna be the best friend to the hot guy.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like you looking at you telling yourself an old truth, and the new truth is that you're the dad lead of a family sitcom where you're overworked by all these kids.
That's what I'm saying. That I know. That's when we could be number one on the call sheet. I'm saying.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know what you mean. No, exactly. You're the modern day Cosby or something like that. You know what I mean? Well, you know what I mean. It's not like everybody loved him and then we found out all this shit. You know what I mean?
True.
So I mean, so we can't.
But we also a lot of people knew about that stuff. I mean, there was always the rumors and the Spanish Fly.
You know what? I didn't know. See,
didn't hear
I never heard anything like that. I mean, it's just because you know what the thing is like, I come from an era where we didn't have internet. Our information was all the news or it was like magazines and it was just like gossip and we never really had the amount of information that's out there right now.
It's crazy when you think about it. Like, could you imagine like James Brown if he had to live through the internet age? That guy was going into places and shooting up bars.
Yeah, man. But how about this one? Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth wouldn't be revered if the media was the way they are now. Babe Ruth was a fat drunk, taking drugs. But he was back then. The press protected their stars. They were like, well, we want to revere this guy. He's our guy. Now, they're looking for ways to take you down. So I don't know if any of the people that were celebrities of our childhood could have made it now. I mean, they would have got Cosby before he even got on TV.
Jordan would have been a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I think he would have been in trouble. I think even if you look at like the like the top most famous celebrities, like Michael Jackson. If his life was scrutinized in the way that people's lives are scrutinized now, I don't know if he would have become Michael Jackson. Interesting. I just don't know. OJ, all these kinds of people that who knows what would have happened. I mean, it's like I think more truths would have come out. I mean, because like the whole thing with Michael Jackson, man, it's like that all started pre-internet, and now that it's in the internet age. You can go down a deep rabbit hole looking at Michael Jackson stuff, right? And so many like lawyers and press people who have been studying this for like 20 years are totally on his side. You know what I mean? So you have people that believe all the allegations, and then you have these people who have been like actually studying it and looking at the depositions and reading all the facts and telling you things about. And so you go, man, look how they're delving into people's lives right now with all this. I mean, just recently the case was thrown out again. By the way.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, the guy from the HBO documentary who said all these things about him. That the judge threw it out again. This is a frivolous lawsuit with no merit. This is like his 13th attempt. So I mean, anyways, my point is, I don't know if with all this information that's out there, it's amazing that people can even reach the fame that they reached right now.
Yeah, but I'd rather have people know. I'd rather be like, is that guy a weirdo? Oh, I know. Than being like, I don't know.
But do we know? Even in this.
No, you don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like I just saw this thing. So Justin Bieber got dreads in his hair. Okay.
Yeah, I seen it.
All right. So now people are talking about cultural.
You look like a fun lady on vacation. Like when you take your teenage daughter to Cancun and she come back.
Yeah, she come back. She hanging with the little kids in the neighborhood, or and she come back. You're like, what happened?
She got a Jamaican boyfriend now.
Here's the thing, though, man. The funny thing about it is people talk about cultural appropriation. I looked it up because I looked up origins of dreadlocks. You know what? Celts, Germanic tribes, Vikings, they all wore dreadlocks. All those white.
Yeah. Well, you just like
India.
more of like a dirty, like those more like dirty locks though, right? Those aren't.
I don't even know. What I'm saying though is like, for people to like in this modern era to like to cancel people and attack people for things, they don't even know history of shit really. Like it's like,
I see that all the time. You see that every day where people don't know what they're talking about, but they feel so righteous.
They feel
things.
so righteous. And so I'm looking at this, they're getting on this kid about like this kid that you made famous.
Oh, he's an adult now. He's a grown man now.
But I'm saying they for now 10 years, you know, you know, I always say like when he was like 15, when he was 9, they told him he was great. When he was 10, they told him he was great. 11, 12. And the whole time he was like, I'm not great. Come on. And after he get to like 15, 16, he was like, maybe I'm great. 17. Oh, I think I'm pretty good. As soon as he turned 18, he was like, I'm great. They were like, whoa. Whoa, buddy. We got to slow you down a little bit here. So it's like they build him up to tear him down, to build him back up, to tear him down. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's like another Outcast. If you want to know all about life, just listen to the whole Outcast discography. Listen to that song, "The Whole World." That's what that song's about.
Oh wow, you're deep into the hip hop references. I like it.
Yeah, well, you know, I said the Outcast was better than the Beatles, and then some people got mad, and then Andre 3000 sent me some art that he signed for me, and so that made me feel amazing.
Oh wow, you said Outkast was better than the Beatles.
Yeah,
that's interesting
and truthful.
I think that the Beatles' impact is better than Outkast.
I'd like to go.
But I would
like to dig deep into this again.
Let's do it.
You know a lot about the Beatles? Because I know a lot about Outkast.
See, I know enough to know that we're still talking about the Beatles. I think in 50 years, they won't be talking about Outkast.
I disagree.
Oh, really? Why? Tell why.
Because Outkast, we could go down full lineage of so many things that they done. And I can go a little bit point for point. You could go Beatles, people talk about Beatlemania, the things coming over from the UK into America, the people going into the UK sound. But they didn't really pull much. You get more out of with the Ramones, some other things. You don't pull many other bands out of the UK, right? Besides the Beatles, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If we're talking musically, just the musicality of like the two different things, I might agree with you in terms of like, you know.
But no, I'm going to go impact wise is that you go then, if you look at Outkast, they created their own type of Beatles mania in Atlanta. And the fact that if you go back into the Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music and their Source Awards win in 96, you go back in New York and everybody's booing the crap out of them. Because back then they didn't want to listen to anybody from the South. They didn't want to listen to anyone that wasn't from New York or from Los Angeles. If you were from anywhere else, you couldn't have a career. And now the entire rap industry is based out of Atlanta. And that's because of the work of people, not just Outkast, people like Jermaine Dupri, things like that.
Yeah.
But Outkast was the big reason why now every big rap album comes from the South now. And that's their own version of Beatles mania. They have their own lineage as well, you know.
I understand what you're saying, but I think I was on Josh Adam Meyer's podcast about, he has this countdown of the top 500 albums of all time. And I got into a big debate with him because I said, well, Beatles are the original boy band. They're the first boy band. And he totally disagreed with me. He's like, they're not a boy band. I was like, yes, they are a boy band. And just because people have this perception that because boy bands don't play their own instruments, they don't write their own music. That's not true. Freaking the what is it? Bop kids. They played every single instrument, wrote every single song. You know what I mean? Justin Timberlake writes songs when he was, you know, some of the Backstreet Boys wrote songs. They did things. I mean, just, you know, there's that mania. But also, I think that song for song, I think that the Beatles catalog is going to be, you know, I mean, the Beatles catalog is pretty extensive, man.
It is, but you now.
Hey Jude, come on, man.
Hey
Imagine.
Y'all. Hey y'all.
Okay, there's one.
Hey Jude.
For every one of Outkast songs, Beatles got probably 2 or 3 of equal like, wow, that was a big song.
I think we could go make a versus. We could do a versus. Beatles versus Outkast, and I could go jam for jam with the Beatles. And by the time,
did the Bee Gees make a Outkast movie?
Idlewild is an Outkast movie.
Okay, all right. Nobody saw that, but I get you.
I didn't see the Beatles movie.
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart
I
Club
didn't
Band?
see it. No.
Oh, boy, that's old school. That's 80s, man.
That's what I'm talking about. Times are changing. And Outkast is the new best band in
Times have changed.
time.
But we're talking about the Beatles have been relevant now for what, 50 years?
I mean,
60 years?
Sure.
They're relevant.
Sure.
Like I'm saying
I'm not trying to buy a new Beatles album.
there could be no new Beatles album because they all dead practically.
Exactly. Another point, Outkast.
Oh, you giving them a point for being alive?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that is a big take. It's a big take for you to like just outright say so that Outkast career, catalog, music, influence, you think is greater than the Beatles.
I think of if you look at the effect of the modern era, if you go back and you're like, oh, of course the Beatles and this and that, and you couldn't, because people always go, well, we wouldn't even have Outkast if it wasn't for Beatles. Like, yeah, that's how technology works. That's how music works. That's how anything works. But also how that works is that things get better. And I feel like that the Outkast has learned there's pop hits, there's deep lyrics, there's everything you want. There's songs that are being played today that you forget. Like the last Outkast album was about 17 years ago. So, and they're still playing, they're still playing Roses. They're still playing Rosa Parks at stadiums when you go to basketball games. You know, that's
because they're cheap to get.
I don't think that's the reason. I
think because those licensing fees are not as high.
I think they got high
as new music.
Well, yeah. Well, that's their fault. That's the Beatles' fault. For thinking that they're
the
Beatles are like, oh, we're so great. You can't have our music. Like,
no. It's not the Beatles. It's all the people that bought. Like, there's a whole thing. Michael Jackson bought half their catalog. You know what I mean? And he, was using that. I mean, that's how influential that was. He made so much money off the Beatles catalog. I mean, if you go dollar for dollar, it's probably not even close.
All right, but nigga, Doritos sell billions of dollars. Who gives?
So you think Beatles are Doritos?
Yeah, Doritos.
So wait, so the Beatles are Doritos? What is Outkast is caviar? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, okay, yes, caviar. But if we're gonna stay in the chip world, they Salsa Leaders. They Salsa Leader.
You the only motherfucker eating Salsa Leader. That's the problem. You just an obscure chip eater. That's all that is.
It's the best chip though. It's the most flavorful chip.
This is like a ketchup sriracha argument. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sriracha's better.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I get it, but ketchup, you can't.
Well, it depends on where you at.
I'm not gonna like
all day long. I've been listening to Outkast to think about this argument. I didn't listen to any Beatles to have a counterpoint, but I listened to a lot of Outkast.
Well, you gotta be like, listen. I'm not gonna go musicality for musicality. I'm I'm not talent for talent.
You wouldn't win.
Because you can argue either way. I mean,
you would lose.
I mean, John Lennon, the dude was. He was a great songwriter, performer.
Absolutely.
Paul McCartney, he's still relevant today. He tours. You know what I mean? So, I mean, they were, you can't deny the influential.
Of course not.
Never. And the thing too, though, in our society, a white star, has a greater reach from that era because, like, I'm sure there are white people in Middle America who you could play an Outkast song and they couldn't tell you that that's Outkast. But I bet most black people could hear a Beatles song and go, is that the Beatles?
And that's my point. That was my entire point in making that argument when I went on Twitter. I don't like that. I'm sick of that. I think that's the next to me, that's the next post of dealing with like systematic racism, latent prejudice is to not respect and revere other culture. To the fact, the whole black excellence thing is like the fact that you have to be excellent to be worth something.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, as if it's like, so you have to be like the best of the best to be like, whereas like they let mediocre white shit go all the time.
All the time.
Like, just look at TV. You know what I mean? Like just like boom, boom, it's like I know exactly what you're saying. It's like
and I don't even think is conscious, but I even feel it like when I pitch my projects, work on my projects, always this fine. I mean, it's what you talk about, fine tooth comb, and then I'll read an audition from some like just some well-to-do white director or white writer, and it's like, oh, this is rough. Like, and this
Yeah.
was okay.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. But at the same time, though, to play devil's advocate on that, because I have two problems with what you're talking about. Not what you're saying. I'm saying, but just in agreement with what you're talking about is that, to me, not enough black dollars are spent on black stuff.
That's for sure.
So like there's enough black wealth in the country to actually make a huge difference and influence, because black culture still has a super large influence on young white kids.
It has the biggest influence. I mean, we talk about all the time.
Music, fashion,
Yeah, the biggest like hits where there's and this is probably a wild take for people, don't think, but if you know truthful stuff, I think, Eric, you won't think it's wild at all, but most of the big hits we see of these things are like black culture, and to be honest, black culture or gay culture that they didn't water down and put through the viewpoint through a white male or a white female, and then they go, boom, we got it.
Yeah,
that happens so much.
Yeah.
And I get sick of that, to me, because that's just like, I mean, that's what I talk about. I just want I wanted there to. I talk about that all the time. Where like you grow up and thinking this is just kind of this white normalcy of being like, I'm supposed to know the Bee Gees, I'm supposed to know the Beatles, but you don't need to know Al Green. You don't need to know Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Or they know it in this peripheral, like it's like it's like there, but they just go, oh yeah. I know that. I know, but I remember back in the day. My buddy, see, we grew up in an era now where, we look at TV. I watched Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Seinfeld because it was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But I also watched Martin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also watch. But there are people who
These
like
are the things I watched today.
Yeah. But I had a buddy of mine. He was white, and I remember him saying to me, he was like, "Yeah, I don't watch." He was talking about some black shows. He was just like, well, I don't get it. Mm-hmm. I don't relate to it or whatever. So it's as if he couldn't find the humor in it because he felt, well, this is only funny to black people then, right? And it's like we, as minorities, we never had the luxury to do that.
Mm-mm.
Like
Seinfeld is one of the most like specific culturally point of view of the most like that's another like that's exactly a perfect example of it is like how many black people or of people of all cultures know so many Jewish things because they watch Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And that was okay, and that's fine, and it is okay. It is fine. I want to learn about that. That's one of the things that makes it interesting. That's what makes any show. That's what made Workaholics amazing to me. Is that when you watched it, you were like, "Oh, this is a world. They have their lingo. They have their point of view, and I'm being invited into it."
Yeah.
And no matter whether it's Seinfeld, Workaholics, Martin, and when you talk about Martin, I that's one of my absolute favorites. I think it's one of the best sitcoms ever made, just because you have immense generational talent in Martin Lawrence in his prime,
right? And
it is a classic sitcom, structurally done perfect. Just everything is like these could be I Love Lucy episodes, they could be whatever episodes, and it's done through the lens of a black dude from Detroit, and that was groundbreaking to have this dude basically doing like a 70s 80s TGIF sitcom but with black characters. And to me, I mean, I do the same thing. Like my wife, who's Canadian, so she has the double thing of she grew up in a white,
right,
small Canadian town.
Yes.
So I'm always trying.
But then you watch I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, I think when you're a minority, you find your lens is wider. You just because you end up having to look at all these different things, and then you can appreciate it, enjoy so many different things because you don't see enough of your own thing. There's not enough stuff being made. By the way, good stuff too. Like, I'm not one of these people that's just like, I gotta watch this because it's black.
Yeah, for sure.
Because then it's just like, it's not good.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes it's just not good, or it's not your cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But then you got like, you know who Chris, I think his name is Chris Lilly. He's Australian or he's from New Zealand. I'm not sure where he's from. This dude is like, he reminds me of Tracy Ullman. Like,
oh yeah, Chris Lilly. Yeah.
He might be certifiably insane just because of how he could do all these different characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he got this show, Jamae, you know, Catholic schoolgirl. That is my jam. Like that shit is so funny that this 40-year-old dude is pretending to be 15-year-old girl and just like being like, just, you know, but that's through that guy's lens. And then also the cultural of like, this is how they are in Australia, you know? So I can watch that and be like, oh, I can enjoy this. But this kind of stuff comes to America. And sometimes, you know, American people, like it's as if we've been trained that everything should be white. And this isn't a race discussion, guys. I'm just telling you, like, we become accustomed to like when we watch TV, we think, okay, you know, because now we're noticing it.
You like watch TV and you can go like, oh, you can see all white characters. You know, this is just a show. But if you're like, this is all black characters, oh, this is a black show.
Yeah,
that's a difference. But to flip it the other way, me and my wife will have this discussion where she's like, she goes like, you love Seinfeld and it's set in New York and they don't have any black main characters, but you won't watch Friends because it's set in New York and it doesn't have any black. And I go like, well, Friends is more aggressively white. Like,
yeah, they're going out of their way to be white.
Yeah, Seinfeld at least had
a lot
of minor characters.
No. You know what it is? I believe that these 4 people wouldn't have a lot of black friends. That's what it is. Like, I don't believe that this character of Seinfeld, George, Elaine, and Kramer, I believe their world that's their world. As opposed to these Friends people, it's like, nah, you know some black people. Black people go to coffee shops. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, becomes like there is a difference. But then we're just talking about semantics and stuff, or we're talking about like, you know, artistic, how things are presented. And like I said, as a minority, you have to look at things like that. You know, we can't just accept things. But nowadays, when you like, so now because of like they're going overboard with everything, it's like, you know, let's diversify everything to make, you know, the woke people feel good. That's noticeable too. But at the same pandering. But I guess you got to go through the pandering phase so it becomes okay for us. Because it's like when I watch a commercial and I see like, okay, here's this black guy and this like Asian woman or something, right? And you kind of go, what are they doing?
Yeah, there is.
You know, what's happening here?
A couple. If you will go by Hollywood commercials, there is not a single couple in the world that is the same race. Yeah.
Nowadays,
every couple in the world is either a black man,
and that's not what we're asking.
A black woman and a white man. It's always.
Yeah. I think what we're really asking for is like how you're wording it is like, we want to just see things through the lens of whoever that is, no matter who it is. It's like, if they're white, then it's okay that they're white. You know, like, let's make like, so I feel like they're sometimes ruining people's white stuff. Like, because how many times have you gone out for a role where?
Oh, I mean the ones where we end up at the audition together, me and
bro.
you?
100, bro. You know what those are? This is what happens. They in a room, they write a white sitcom. It's not that they're, it just so happens that all these characters are white. They wrote the white. The guy's name is Jimmy and the girl's name is Helen, and they write this sitcom to get it done. And then when they go through the process, they start to go, this is all white. Y'all should audition. We want this character to be black. We want this character to be non-white. And then we come in.
Yep.
And we reading James, you know, we're reading James, and then we're looking at this and we're like,
he's white.
This guy's white. Just make him white.
Yeah. From the way he talks, he's white.
The way he talks, his experience, whatever this is, make him white. See, to me, that's not where the shit should change. Not at that level. To me, it should change at the creation level, where it's like, hey, you know, that's how you end up with a show called Black Lady Sketch Show. You know, you want to talk about a lens?
Yeah,
they putting the shit in the name. Like, this is Black Lady Sketch Show. But you often see that when you see a show that, like, from the perspective of women, like if it's a show about women, for women, they have it's like you're sitting like you're a fly on the wall. You're learning something like Insecure is like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love Insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm a fly on the wall when I watch that show. I feel like, oh, I'm watching these black women be black women.
Yeah, even if we go back before that, like Sex in the City.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Sex in the City was like that, even though it was all white.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it's from the lens of these white women, these privileged white women living in New York dealing with privileged white women problems. I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? I'm fine with that. I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, wow, they don't have no black friends? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with that. But all I'm saying is, like, let's also have the 4 black girl show, or the mixed friends show, or whatever it is that, can you find a way, white America, can you find a way to see yourself within that without just looking at race? Because that's what people do. Like, when you talk about workaholics, so many kids come up to me and they're like, oh, man, that was me and my friends. So they found something to relate.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can find something to relate. And that's why when the Cosby Show was at its height, that's what people related to. They were like, oh, it's just a dad, a mom.
Yeah, I want a good dad like that.
I want a dad like that. I want a mom like that. I had brothers and sisters like that. We lived in a nice house and we struggled with different things. It was like, so it was able to transcend, just looking at race.
Yeah, so many things do. I mean, to me, it's seeing some of the newer things, like the things that were like super, super white that have now been kind of, I guess if we're going to talk about cultural appropriation, it goes both ways. And to me, I like to, depend on how it's used. If you're used to just profit off of black culture, which we see all the time, that's worse. But if you're showing respect to things and you just love things and this is who you are, then I don't have a problem with that, because to me it seems so fun. Like, I listen to a lot of Young Dolph and Key Glock, and a lot of their album art is just Beavis and Butthead, but as them, like 2 black Beavis and Butthead characters. And there's so much now of like young black rappers who identify through Beavis and Butthead.
I know what you mean, man. I mean, I just want to see, I just want to see, like, let's not pander. Let's not, like, make white people feel guilty about every fucking thing they do all the time. It's not about that, or like, do you have to, it's like, oh, we're going to have the Wonder Years and let's make it all black now. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of things they're doing now. They're going to be like, let's go I Dream of Jeannie, but they all black.
Yeah,
that's
it's a whole other conversation about, like, they don't, just mining nostalgia instead of creating new IP, because it's easier and then you can't make new stars, and it makes people's value easier to control. But then that gets me off on a whole other.
Wow, I can see that. that's gonna be part 3 of the podcast with Ron Funches. I didn't even say who you are. I was like, welcome to the podcast.
People
Mr. Ron
know
Funches.
me. They know me from Saturday Night Live sketches. They say my name.
Speaking of, you see how Elon Musk is gonna.
Yeah, I heard about that.
To me, I feel like because Trump's not in office, they need a crazy white guy.
Oh, that's what they want.
Yeah, they need a crazy white guy to talk about, because, like, they made SNL so much about Trump that they should send him a gift basket. Mm-hmm. They were winning Emmys. They were like, they kind of had this kind of resurgence. And now that he's gone, I feel like they're just like, so how do we be funny again without Trump?
Yeah, how do we be shocking?
And like, so they said, oh, let's have this guy be on the thing.
You ever watched the movie Bulworth?
Oh, no, I sure haven't.
Warren Beatty becomes a politician, then he starts saying whatever he wants.
Oh, I do remember that.
And I was wondering if Trump watched that movie, and then that's what led to him doing what he wanted to do.
I mean, who knows, man? I mean, it took a community of people to get Trump in office.
Yeah, for sure.
It wasn't just like, that's why I always say, like, don't call the guy dumb. He wasn't dumb. You don't become president of the United States being dumb. Mm-hmm. You're a savvy dude. He know how to surround himself with, like, say, what should we do? I always go back to, he had this rally after he was elected, and he's talking to the crowd. I wish I could find the footage. I'm sure it's on YouTube. But he's saying
so
to his...
funny, because right now you look like you could host a right-wing political talk show.
I know, right? I can't stand those ones where it's all
one more swoop in your hair,
and it's all anti-black. You know what I mean? Here's what's wrong with my community. You know what I mean? It's one of those, like Larry Elder or something like that.
They're talking about Black Lives Matter, but they won't talk about what's going on in Chirac.
Yeah. By the way, I have a point about that, but just, just about Trump real quick is like he's having this rally and he's saying to them, you know, my people told me to say drain the swamp. And I didn't like it at first, but they said I should say it. He's saying this to his followers. And he's basically revealing to them, I got you. Like, I'm playing a role too to get in power, and it worked.
Yeah.
Thank you for not being informed.
Yeah, it's classic Carney as a lover of pro wrestling. You see it 1,000 times. It's the guy who goes like, "Oh, guess what? I know a secret. They're screwing you over.
Yeah,
but not me."
I know, man. But getting back to what you were saying, you know, I always like I like listening to conservative radio and conservative TV. I like listening to it just because it's more entertaining. Mm-hmm. Like you're really gonna hear like some wild shit, you know, or it's gonna make you like either reinforce how you believe, make you think like, I wonder, maybe not, you know. But the other side is just so like there's no real point. You know, it's hard to listen to liberal radio. It's boring.
Yeah, when they try to either. When people try to out woke each other.
Yeah.
My favorite things on Twitter.
Yeah.
People are like, this, and then they go, and then somebody else goes, oh, you mean, but what about this? Isn't this you from 8 years ago?
You know, man. Like the wokeness is just gonna like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't last. I mean, at a certain point, people
it's a fad. People go through fads, and just another cultural fad, and they'll get through it. I mean, to me, there's a lot of positives and just, you know, individuality and accepting people's individual nature. But to just be like so, I mean, I think especially because we work in communication, you know, to be like, you're gumming up the works. Like, you want me to do this and that and this and that, and this is now bad, but you're not taking my heart and my tone into
right. Like, why always like I always say, like when we're doing comedy, it's like, please don't assume ill intent.
Yeah.
Like, don't assume ill intent. Like, assume I'm coming from this place. I just feel like everything people say online should have the words "to me" at the end of it.
Yeah.
That's
true.
all.
Yeah.
That's it. Because then you're fine.
Yeah.
So like if they listen to you and they say like Ron Funches is a racist, that's how they end it.
Yeah.
No. To me.
Yeah.
And then we can go, oh, okay. Well, that's how you feel. Let me get my own opinion. Then everybody can start to be like, well, what's your opinion of it? Mm-hmm. But when people make these blanket statements, but you know,
well, that's just not good. I know that from therapy.
Me too. Me too. I get my boundary issues from therapy. My own, you know, therapy is, you know, BetterHelp. I think I have to do a commercial for BetterHelp for this episode. So this is, as we're talking about therapy, BetterHelp is a great example of, you know, and now that their web, because they can't put the cat back in the bag now in terms of like online therapy. Mm-hmm. Because like it wasn't covered by insurance, you know that before.
I did not know.
Yeah,
that.
It wasn't. They wouldn't cover the insurance. But then COVID happened, and they were like, they had to. You can't take that away now. Mm-mm. You can't be like, oh, okay, we have to make people go to offices now. No. So that's gonna stay as a thing.
Yeah, I think I mean, in some ways I prefer the online because I'm in my I feel more open because I'm in my house,
right,
laying on my couch. It's better.
Well, the first time I did it, I didn't like it, and it was because of my own fault. I was laying in my bed, I had my computer on my lap, and then I started looking at emails, and I was like, "Oh, I can't do this."
Yeah,
it was stupid. That was on me. That was on me.
Yeah,
but then the next time I did it,
showed up to one high out of my mom.
Right.
And she was like, "I don't know if we're gonna get anything done this week."
So then after that, what I did was I sat on my couch and I put it on the table, and then I simulated I'm in an office, and it turned out okay, you know. But I guess you know. I guess let me finish by saying, like, because what I was going to say earlier was like I totally understand. I've met a few like black conservatives is what I'll say, or at any time I've met a figure who was like hard on black people who's black, right? They come to like, you know, you stop claiming racism, stop, you know, and then you hear their story, and then I go, oh, I get why you feel this way, because a lot of times it's like they had a dad who was like dealt Jim Crow and had to deal with like some hardships, and then that he rose and then made sure his family, and so they had this feeling like we could all do it.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the thing, right? I mean, that's the thing that even I struggle with because I go like, I come from a very horrible place, you know, where no money, no community college dropout, negative accounts, you know, and stuff, and then just being like, and single dad, you know, and then like, oh, I did it, but then I always gotta like, I don't forget where it's like, oh, it's hard work. I have unique skill sets that are valued. If I was just really good at woodworking, maybe it wouldn't have worked out that way. You know?
Yeah.
And then
unless you started a YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's true. But that's actually true too, right? Like if your woodworking is the shit and you show people.
Yeah. So there's ways. So it's really just kind of remembering that all experiences are not the same experiences, and there's value in everybody's different struggle, and like so it's hard to like making these like because people like to make these blanket statements, and it's like, you know, and that's where we don't discuss things, we don't see different sides, different points of view. You know, life is nuanced, man. It's nuanced. We live in the gray area. We don't live in this sort of absolutes that the social media provides. It's all absolutes on social media, and it's not really the case, you know? And if you just sat down with somebody you disagreed with and actually just had a conversation, even if at the end of that conversation you were like, I'm further reinforced that I don't agree with you, but you also you still come from a place of like, well, I understand where you're coming from. And that's just really what I wish we would get more of.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I like about you and your act. Like that's one thing, the more I've gotten to know you through the years is like, when you first see you or you watch your Workaholics, or even just for my first time I saw you on stage, you're like, oh, this guy's brash and like he's a little cocky and he's talking about women, but he looks like that. So like,
I know. I feel you.
But then you like listen. I listen more to you and you're like, man, you're so much more complex and thoughtful than a lot of people I think give you credit for, and so that's the fun of it, right? Is finding it and being like, oh, this is the deeper pool than I thought it was.
You know what really bothers me, man? If I can like get something off my chest with you.
You can. It's my podcast.
So when you know, it's like you doing jokes, you write your jokes. I like making jokes about women. If I was making jokes about the animal world, okay, and I was only making jokes about horses, all right? Horses could be like, yo, man, what's up with the ducks? You don't got no jokes about ants? Why are you picking on the horses? Then, in that case, you could be like, yeah, I'm probably singling out horses. Yo, there's only two kinds of people. There's men and there's women, and there's this small percentage of people who not sure which one they are, or they want to be the other or the other. Okay?
Non-binary.
And the non-binary. Okay, so that's a small, but for the most part, it's 49.999% men, 49.99% women. So there's not a big pool of people to talk about.
They're saying, so this is what they say about you? That you don't talk about men?
No. This is what I do. I'm saying, you know,
I'm saying.
I know, but what I'm talking about is like when somebody says that to me, they go, oh man. And they go, well, you hate women because you make jokes about them. It's like, no, women are hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, they're just so funny, and dealing with them as a man, dealing with having a woman in your life, and then or just in the peripheral, just your mom's funny, your sisters are funny, your girlfriends are funny, women you work with are funny. Like the differences in the interaction, that's just funny. So it's like it's just frustrating when you like, you know, you're just like, well, who else am I gonna talk about?
It's universal.
It's universal. But you know what, though, as you say that, anytime somebody misunderstands you, or if enough people say something about you, it does make you go into yourself and be like, all right, well, let me look at these jokes. Mm-hmm. Let me look at this material, because if I'm saying this and it's making enough people think not what I want them to think, then that's on me.
Yep.
That's how I look at it.
Absolutely. It's your job as a business person to,
right.
If you put out a product and people are telling you that your product is labeling you in a certain way, you have to either adjust or accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I've done that a lot of times. You're like, oh, that's not what I'm trying to say at
right,
all.
Right. I've had that happen where somebody comes to you, oh, well, you said this. Like, I didn't say that. It was like, you're like, well, that's what you implied. Anytime, and then you go, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So,
which is sometimes, I mean, it sucks when someone gives it to you the wrong way and they come at you like a jerk. But
Well, that's how they come at you most of the time.
Usually,
that's what the internet is. People coming at you at a jerk.
But I've had some positive interactions where people are like, look, I heard this joke. I'm a fan of yours. Right. I know because I am a fan of yours. I know that you're a good person. So I just wanted to explain this to you, how this came across to me. That was helpful.
When people come at me like that, that almost pisses me off even more.
It's long.
It's long-winded. Or it's like, because you know what? It's going to be the same dumb misunderstanding. It's like I used to have this joke about, I don't like being designated driver. I don't drink alcohol. So people always want me to be the designated driver. And I would say, being a designated driver is like taking care of autistic kids at the end of the night. All right. If you have an autistic kid in your life, or somebody, you're going to be an advocate, might step to me and be like, that's inappropriate. And I go, did you hear what I said? It's like, have you taken care of autistic kids? Because it's very similar. It's like, it's not a knock on them. It's not saying, you know what I mean? But it's like, if you assume ill intent, then it's like so when somebody comes long-winded at me about that, it's still where I go, fuck you. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't, you're making something out of nothing. It's like my point is like, if you can't understand that that's just a joke, then who are you?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like some jokes are for you, some jokes aren't for you.
Right.
My son has autism, and would I be like, oh, I love that joke? Probably not. But would I be like, oh, I fucking hate Erik?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what? The thing is, it's all related to everybody's own personal experience. It's all anecdotal.
Absolutely.
Just that's how we deal with COVID too. Mm-hmm. Some people might be like, COVID's not that serious because they've never met anyone or known anyone that's died in their life. Mm-hmm. And the same on somebody. It's just like anything, cancer, MS, any of these things, dementia for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So dementia. So if I hear somebody talking about dementia, but see, I talk about it on stage because that's how I deal with things. Mm-hmm. But if I heard somebody, and I'll be like, it's going to hit differently with me, good or bad, because of my own personal experience.
Yeah.
So knowing that, why attack someone and make them shit? Like, we want to remove everything bad that you have to say about anything, and it's just that's you being closed-minded.
Yeah, no, I mean I've gone through that personally. Same thing with autism, where I because there's times where things kind of just become the zeitgeist for things, and they just start throwing, and I just noticed that people were like using autistic as a punchline instead of retarded, which is the word I don't even like to use, but I had noticed that they had started to do that, and so that would be a thing that I was like, well, you're just being lazy. You're being lazy, and you're just you think this word now is okay. Right. So I had a problem with that, but I had to realize like, oh, I have a problem with that. I cannot like it. I can go up and make jokes about it.
Yes.
I can make fun of them.
Right.
I have every right to do that, but I don't have a right to be like, well, you shouldn't say that.
Exactly. It's all, I've had this all different, because to me, it's a visual joke. You know what I mean? It's a, so like even another one, I said, I had this joke about vegan pizza. Vegan pizza is like a transvestite, because from a distance, you're like, what do we have here? What's up? But when you take a bite, you're like, is that dick? This might be dick, So
that's a strong bit.
It's a strong joke, okay? Yeah. I stand by it.
Yes, I get it.
But of course,
yes, I get that too.
So of course, some woke piece of shit is gonna walk up to me and be like, "Oh, it's like, I'm not saying anything bad about being." See, this is the thing where you start to break down structure of language. Mm-hmm. It's like just so people get to a point where if you say a thing, it means that you're saying something bad about that thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, I'm not saying anything bad about that thing.
It's happened many times. Remember, like in the, I think like in the early 2000s, late 90s, if somehow it's just saying Mexican sounded bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's like we just have to find a way. That's where the wokeness has gone astray. It's gone too far because like if you just say one thing, you say a word that's a buzzword, and now it becomes like, and of course there are certain words where you just go, all right, you got like, midget, the N-word, F-word. You have these words where you go, maybe these words should just be removed, but you can't remove them because they're there. But, as a comic, you just go, do I need to talk about this?
Yeah.
It's like, do they need to make a joke about, it's like, do they need to make a joke about, it's like, do they need to make a movie about Hitler?
Yeah.
Probably a fascinating, interesting story. But is that necessary?
Yeah. Before, seen it, done it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, so I get it.
Unless you got a brand spanking angle, you might want to leave it alone.
So it's just a struggle as a performer, as a comic that you try to deal with. You really try to But anyways,
I like that though. Yeah, I like having to.
Yeah, me too.
Find new things and evolve and
Me too. Movement made us evolve.
Find a way to also still be a little shit.
That's my thing too. It's like I want to be able to still call you a asshole. And I want at the end of it, I want you to be like, okay, not like, well. And so that's the challenge of a comic, is to find a way to say the things you want to say, and them understand you even if they don't agree.
I know you're wrapping up, but I want to ask you one thing.
Go ahead.
Because you think you're the interesting person to talk about this, because you probably a person who might have strong viewpoint. But like when the pronouns and people use on Twitter, I'm all for like using whatever pronouns you want me to use and to have me identify you however you see fit, especially as a father of a son with autism who changes his personality and his name every 6 months. I had to call him Courage or Bart or Doug or Tommy Pickles. Change his name all the time. So I'm like, well, if you won't call me to call you Miss or Ms. or whatever, I got no problem with that. However, recently I noticed that it's another thing co-oping, where I see a lot of like straight white males being like, I'm he, him. I'm gonna be like, yeah, motherfucker, we knew that. I thought this was to help differentiate for other people who were trying to get away from people thinking they were you. And now you're like...
Sounds to me like it's equivalent to White Lives Matter.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, but here, my thing, I always liken it to when somebody turns Muslim. You turn Muslim, you want to change your name to, Ron Shabazz? Okay.
That sounds cool. I
just go, okay. My thing is this. Give me a second to acclimate myself to it. That's all. This is a new, unusual thing. All right. And we're trying to normalize it. It's going to take some of us a second. So if you come at me and you've been Ron since I've met you, and now you want to come tell me you're now Rowena, for a little while, I might still be like, hey, Ron, my bad. Rowena, I'm not a devil because of that.
No, I mean, I have real life experience with that. I have my niece who's now my nephew.
Right. It takes a second.
Yeah, it takes a second because I still go back and I look at old pictures and I go, oh, that's my niece boob. Oh, no, actually. That's...
Right. It's like, okay, because it's not something that this is a newfangled thing that we're trying to like deal with. So my generation is way harder to deal with, because now in the future generations, it ain't going to be a thing, Gender reveal parties, they'll go away.
Yeah.
Blue and pink is going to go away.
They'll do them when you turn 21. You do gender. You just come out and you just show your stuff.
Yeah. I am this. Whoa. Didn't know it was that kind of party. So I totally get what you're saying there. It's just, again, we just have to, I always say we just got to normalize these things so it's something that we don't have to deal with anymore. Like gay, transgender, the pronoun, all that stuff. It just needs to be normalized where it's not something we have to think about or even care about, and once we get to that, we care so much about people's race, gender, and sexual orientation, so we could put them in a box and make sure that they can only say and do those things in that box. But what we're learning is like, it's more fluid than that. And when that becomes normalized, then I think we'll just be happier.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. When it's less even a concern.
Right? Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to call you? What am I supposed to do? Like, to me, it's just like, all right, well, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't care.
Yes. Ron, that is my whole point. I don't care. So, like, I think most of us don't care. It's like when you find out someone's gay, I'm just kind of like, who cares? That should be the response. When somebody says, hey, did you hear that so-and-so's gay? Your response really should be, so? Like, I don't know why that's such a, like, that is such a thing that people like, ooh, like they need to know everything about everyone. For what? For what? You know? How does that make you feel better? And if you feel better, it means you look down upon the thing that you think that person is.
Yeah.
And that's why you feel that way. So we got to get rid of that. We got to normalize all that.
Got to let people want to define people.
All right. Well, this has been my buddy Ron Funches.
We've been hanging out. It turned into a TED Talk.
Well, this always happens on my podcast.
I love it.
This just me. I don't know why. Like, I can't be fun like bad friends and.
Yeah, the Scissor Bros.
Yeah, I can't be fun like that. I don't know why.
It seems like too much effort.
It's a lot of effort.
Like
yeah.
Come up with bits and downtime and be like, we're going to do this. We're going to put a Bengay on our bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, what happened to just talking?
Can we just talk? But hey, it is what it is. So, and make sure you guys check out. It's in theaters and streaming right now. Golden Arm.
Golden. It's always a good promo when it gets you say it like a question. Go see Golden Arm. It's in theaters and on demand. Myself, Betsy Sedero, Mary Holland. Also, please watch Chopped 420 on Discovery Plus. It is the Chopped franchise. Appetizer, entree, dessert, mystery ingredients, weed, and hosted by me.
Dope.
It's a great show. Check it out.
Yeah, and you know, if you went in the Quibi, did your show go someplace else? Or
it's in a Roku box somewhere. It's available.
Good, so you can still find Ron
I've
doing
already
his
moved
thing.
on from that.
All right, my bad. And this podcast,
getting better.
Make sure you check that out too. I got to come do yours now. I haven't done it because we scheduled it, but then something happened. I had to go out of town, whatever it was. Let's get that on the books. But thank you for being here, guys. Make sure you watch me. I stream.
My house.
And I'll come over there. Stream Erik Griffin Gaming. Check that out.
Twitch.tv Ron_Funches.
He's online too. We sometimes play.
You only play one game, so I switched out.
Well, I can play other games. God, I do. You just don't ever see me.
You play Warzone every day for 5 to 6 hours a day.
And I still book television shows, cartoons.
I'm not hating.
People out there hate. They're like, "Oh, that's all you do." It's like, nah, I'm still, I'm still out here.
I love the balance. I'm like, everything my mom said was wrong. Look at
me.
I'm making money. I got a weed TV show, and I get booked through video games.
Exactly. Fuck y'all. But thanks for watching Riffin with Griffin, and thank Ron. Thanks for being here, and I will see you next week.
Riffin with Griffin.
Whoa.